They said the truth won't survive beside the lies that maintain the decaying faces of this place. Hey everybody, what's up? It's Hold the Truth Hostage, where if the truth was so important, we would hold the truth hostage and never negotiate with lies. Full-time ghosting isn't an option, it's the only choice. Full-time ghost. Now, I want to say shout out to the homie Kalala. I was chopping it up with him. Shout out to him. You know, he reminded me, I've been saying this to a lot of guys, man. I've covered so many subjects, man, on the channel, whether it's live streaming for, hours, And the homie Kalala told me, man, there's so much in there that at times you would have to dig, or, I tell people you could just randomly watch an old stream, man. You know me. There's too many things covered anyway for it to feel like it's old. But the thing is this, with this video, I want to cover something that I've talked about and have forgotten to mention at times. And what I forgot is give me 1 minute. Yeah, what I forgot to cover, I've touched up on this before when it comes to religion. I think that in the household, the man comes before God, man above God, that's how the household is. That's why you would see that the spouse would practice what the man believes in, And the reason I would say man above God, or as I call it now, M.A.G, M.A.G for short, is that's how the household was set up, based on what the man chooses to believe. This is why a lot of men who, for example, let's say her father was Muslim, her father was Muslim, he would set her up with another Muslim man because the father understands that if she marries outside of her religion, she will have to practice the faith of the man she's with. You know what I mean? That's basically how it always has been. And now, currently in the society we're in, it's, we know it's society above God, That's where we are, as I call it now, S.A.G. S.A.G, S.A.G, Society Above God, where they basically are all about setting the tone and deciding. This is why I think it was the early 2000s or 90s I started seeing some movies where you could clearly see that there's a pressure for the man to just accept the religion that the woman practices under his household, no matter what, even if it goes against his own. That he must accept and he must conform to what society now deems the law, what society now deems the norm, and what's acceptable for men, that it's misogynistic. If you as a man have your own religion, and this is what you want the woman you are with to practice, And the reason I titled this video M.A.G vs S.A.G, basically man above God vs society above God, is because this is where we are at now. We're in a society where it's all about you must conform. You must conform no matter what the message is. I mean, yesterday I passed a church where it had the pride flag. You know what I'm saying? I passed a church where it's now accepted the agenda. You know what I mean? A church with the pride flag on it, you know? You know what I'm saying? It's not as though there was never anybody in the church that went that way. It's just in the church, we don't talk or follow or represent that. That's how it was. Now, the reason I say it's man above God, you know, M.A.G, and then you got S.A.G, you know, society above God, is that it's what's being offered. Now, the way things were, we used to live in a M.A.G society, you know, man above God. What do I mean by that? Am I implying that men were above God and the law, Christianity, and all that? No. What I'm applying is that man was above God because in the household, the man would decide whether there is a God or not, whether there is a religion. And the other thing is, and I've touched up on this on streams before, the reason I say man above God is that when it comes to your house, your family, you know, their protection, their stability, it isn't about your wife or your children getting on one knee and praying that the bills get paid, praying that when a stranger breaks into the household, that Jesus will be there to protect them or their religion. No, it's about the man. It's about the man that will be there or run there or make his way there if it comes to it where he must be there to protect and provide for his family, you know? You know what I'm saying? It's not gonna be, it's not gonna be a Jesus that saves your family, you know? It's gonna be the husband, the father, you know, his position. He will be the first line of not only defense, offense, and guidance. You know what I'm saying? It was all built on the man being above God. You know, that's why I say it's M.A.G, man above God. Yeah, but you know, like I was saying, it was the man that came before God, you know, the household, everything. Even when you think about it, think about Christianity, think about religion, you know. If a man didn't introduce it, or if a man doesn't follow it, where will it be around him? Where will it be around his family and so on? So the very introduction to religion starts off with the man. You know, the maintenance of it, the continuous practice of its faith is with the man, you know. And what happened is, like I was saying, another reason I bring up M.A.G is that when there is danger, as I said before, the first option is the man. The man will arrive before Jesus, you know, before faith or anything, any aspect, the man will run in there to do what needs to be done. Now, if so happens the man is saved by, be it luck or something he can't explain, the man might fall on to religion. But now in this society we're in, where, as I've covered on my channel for, what is it going on now, over 5 years, man. Over 5 years I've covered this, and what I've covered is the fact that you're in a male limitation society. This whole society, by virtue of you being born a man in the West, America, whatever you're at that follows the Americanized system when it comes to the family court and how things are dealt with, you're in a male limitation society. You know, I've covered this countless amount of times, man. You know, and what this society has done now is basically the society is now claiming it is a S.A.G. You know, S.A.G. I was saying the society deems itself a S.A.G, society above God. You know, as in this society deems itself the beginning and end of the very fabric of all life within it. This is why there's a pressure to push, heterosexual men down the path of, dating, man-formers, as I call it, man-formers, men who formerly identified as men that had that cosplay surgery to play women. You know what I'm saying? That had that cosplay surgery. I know YouTube is more lenient these days, but I've been shadow banned to hell, so we know it ain't lenient on me. We know that. I'm not a Joe Rogan or whatnot. You got to be big enough to say what you want to say, But because we're in a S.A.G society above God, where the whole goal is all the rules of the society, the government, the corporations, they are the deciding factor. And that comes to the man as well. And the danger you see in this society with how it's designed is that you see this society and saying it's S.A.G, society above God, is this society is claiming that it will come before God in the household, as in if your family is in danger, your wife, your kids are in danger, this society claims that it is the first option, that it will arrive to save and protect them. And we know that's a lie. We know that the way the police work, they have to police the entire town and the community. They can't prioritize any family unless it's like a corporate or high levels of authority, the mayor, the governor. The police will come to them above all, but they will not come to a random woman, a random married woman, and so on as priority. That's not what it's about. And then the procedures they have to follow while they're patrolling the entire community, they have to go towards higher profiled incidents, higher profiled incidents and so on. So the police will not come to protect your wife and your kids above all, And this is the danger of the society we're in. The society we're in is all about projecting this false narrative that the women, the children, be not worried, for this society above God, she'll be there for you. You are the priority. When that's a lie. That is a lie. That's a lie and a part of the messaging that happens once the men are no longer above God. Once the men are not legally allowed to be the priority in their household, the priority of their family. I was talking to a buddy of mine, I was chopping up with Kalala, chopping up with some people. Shout out to the homie, man. Shout out to the homie, the Gold Pillar. I was talking to him, in a Discord, and we were talking, and, I brought up something with him, and I told him this, man, the man cannot lead. And what happens with this is why you get this narrative that, for example, when Tom Brady's wife took the kids, and in fact, when women take the children, what do they say? I'm going to my family's house. I'm bringing them to my mom or my dad, my family, which doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense because once she is with that man she has married, that she is committed to, he is, and the priority is their family, the family they create. So her taking her kids to her mom and her father is basically taking those children to the second priority of family, which is her immediate family, her family that those children would go to that possess none of the blood of their father. You know what I'm saying? So that exposes that this is a lie. This is really just kidnapping. It's taking the children. You know, when a woman says, I'm going to take my kids to our mother's house, where they just take the kids without any legal written contract between her and the man, or the laws and all that, that is basically kidnapping, because you're not taking them to the immediate family. The immediate family is the family. The priority is the family that her and the man she married or had children with. And to take her kids away from their father, who shares their blood with them, is really just taking them to people that are not their family. Because now let me get a little more logical with it. You know, let's drop a little more, you know, full-time ghosting, man. You know me. Full-time ghosting is all about, you know, it's all about, we're not attached to idealism here. We're just attached to the pursuit of freedom and knowing it, you know, knowing the freedom and so on, you know, no liabilities. But the thing is this, think about it. She takes those kids to her family, you know, their grandfather and their grandmother is not of their full blood. It's of the half, you know what I'm saying? The grandparents share the blood of her, you know what I'm saying? Her blood, you know what I'm saying? They don't share the blood of the father. You know, like I was saying, the kids' grandparents do not share their blood. You know what I'm saying? As in, the grandparents are not of whole of the children. You know what I'm saying? So when they're taken there, from a genetic standpoint, they're taken to people that cannot honestly say they are the part of who they are as a whole. They can only say they are a part of those children as who they are as a divided, as a half. And think about the psychological aspect of this, that she takes the children to her grandparents while stating that they are the best option, that being amongst them is the best option. It's basically teaching those children that half of them is corrupted. You know what I'm saying? Half of them is corrupted, and that half of them that is corrupted is their father. So those children are psychologically being traumatized to hate their whole identity, to solely identify with their father's, so basically those children, when taken strictly to their mother's side of the family and being stated that this is what's best for them, this is what's in their best interest, it's basically subjecting and suggesting to them that only half of who they are is the safe half of their identity, that their father's half is problematic. Because think about it. If a mother and a father, let's say a mother and a father have a dispute, you know, what should happen is, if they have family on both of their sides, you know, what they should do is prioritize having those children be with both sides of the family until they deal with their problems, rather than, well, you know, the mother takes the kids and brings them to her family, suggesting that her family are the best and the safest option for those children, and psychologically traumatizing those children to believing, as I was saying, that only one half of them is the good half. You know what I'm saying? Only one half of them is the good half, while the other half of them is actually a threat to them, a danger. And think about it. This is why children during a divorce are severely damaged. A lot of people that don't have the holistic level of thinking, that are not of a full-time ghost approach of not pursuing idealism, just see, well, they went through a traumatizing moment. The divorce left them hurt and so on. But it's deeper than that. But you know, it's deeper than just mom and dad breaking up. It's internal. It's the fact that when a divorce happens, it is a divide of their identity, their whole. You know, to say that, you know what, half of me, the problem is dad. Half of me, the problem is mom. And now that child growing up cannot become whole, can no longer find comfort in their whole identity, and they pursue something else that doesn't exist, that at the end leads to their destruction. Because no matter how much safety a child finds, for example, on their mother's side, they can never only be of their mother's side. You get what I'm saying? So what happens in a S.A.G society above God, and I've been telling you guys when I wrote the book Man Vantage, and if you haven't picked up Man Vantage, come on, man, pick it up, dudes, come on. I put in a lot of work, man. Get yourself a copy of Man Vantage, the book, you know, Man Vantage. But one thing I covered in Man Vantage, and I don't even go into this much detail, I didn't bring up a society above God. I didn't bring up man above God to a certain extent, because like I tell guys, I'm always learning. I'm always evolving, man. You know, the thing about the truth is, just as technology keeps advancing, so does the mind. The deeper you travel into looking at everything from a non-attached perspective to society and all this stuff, the deeper you dive, the clearer things become. You know what I mean? I'm gonna be live streaming something very soon, man. What I will be live streaming soon will change your mind completely, like as never before. I can guarantee it. But the one thing I bring up in my book, The Man Vantage, I bring up the God-verment. The God-verment, that our government is not a government. It is a God-verment. It is a God complex based government, where the government sees itself as like a God-like being. You know, where the government sees itself as a God-like being, you know. That's what the government of the United States is. It sees itself as a God-like being. This is why polygamy is illegal. This is why not one governor running, not one senator elected, not one president elected in the last 25 years has come out to say that they want to alter and fix the family court. Not one. Because it's all about fueling and providing life force to this government. That is a God-like entity, a God complex driven entity. And the other aspect of that, what happens when you have a government with a God complex? You end up with a S.A.G, a society above God, where that society is all about dictating everything. You know what I'm saying? And dictating everything. And I'm not a religious person. So what I mean above God is that also, What I'm basically saying is that it is above all life. You know, this is why your society is pushing that you should have trannies, my apologies, man-formers. You should have man-formers reading to your children at school when they're very young, could easily be confused, that seeing a drag queen could cause them to have psychological, body dysmorphic ideals. Rather than having police read to your kids, an athlete, a teacher, a societal, well-known town superstar or something, celebrity, instead they want man-formers reading to your children to corrupt them, so those children can eventually have body dysmorphic issues, end up as drug addicts, end up taking massive amounts of surgery to end up in a situation where they have mental disabilities. I heard a country just passed the law reclassifying that man-formers, people with that level of body dysmorphia, are suffering from a mental issue, which the United States used to say that was the issue. Body dysmorphia is a mental illness. But, here it's all about the profit. It's all about feeding that God-like entity, the God complex driven government, the Godverment we live in, And this is why you live in a S.A.G society, a society above God, where the whole goal of the society is to deem everything. It is to basically, decide everything that's happening. This is why you live in a S.A.G society. This is why you live in a S.A.G society where it's society above God, and that they can decide and they pursue, no matter if it's not logical, it makes no sense. They can push the narrative that, you could be genders, when in truth, there are only 3 sexes in this world. There's male, female, and extremely rare, the hermaphrodite. That this whole gender talk is nothing more than an illusion, propaganda. Propaganda that doesn't exist. You know what I'm saying? It's all a scam. It's all a propaganda and a scam to begin with. That, the whole gender identity, gender roles, it's all fiction. It's a scam. It's something more of a scam than Santa Claus. At least someone could dress up as Santa Claus. You know what I'm saying? At least there's a physical merit to someone. Oh, he dressed up as Santa Claus. Well, dress up as a pronoun. You know what I'm saying? Make that pronoun, well, not a pronoun, make that gender something that truly exists. You know what I'm saying? Dress up as a gender. It's all a scam, man. And the thing about the gender scam is that gender, they're trying to make it that gender came before sex, when in truth, no way in hell. No way. You have the 3 sexes, as I said, male, female, and hermaphrodite. Gender, that whole processing, that whole narrative, that whole thought came afterwards. Fiction. But when you live in a society where the society is S.A.G, society above God, where the society utilizing a Godverment, a God complex driven government, is now deeming that it is the end all be all, that you must conform, that you conforming is you following what the most high life form above us all deems the right choice, or as they identified as God. So this is what's going on. This is why a lot of men, as I stated, will be traveling, will be going overseas, because what's happened is that to experience M.A.G, man above God, you got to go overseas. You got to go to a country where the man is legally allowed to be a man. You know what I'm saying? Legally allowed to be the head of the household. Legally allowed to make decisions that only a man should and could. You know? And that's a M.A.G, a man above God. You got to go to a country outside of the United States, or United States inspired or United States based legal system, to experience what it means to be a man, to experience what it means to be able to basically look at your family and let them know that you are the first option. You will always be the first option until your grave. You know what I mean? Your children are in danger. You are the first option. It ain't no Jesus. It don't matter what the religion is. Nothing comes before the man in that household. You know what I'm saying? That man's family's in danger. If your family was to die, you lose your family, what are they gonna say? They're not gonna say, "Oh my, Jesus failed your family. Jesus failed your family." They're not gonna bring that up. They're gonna say, man, if only you could have protected your family. If only you could have protected your family, man. You know what I'm saying? That's what they're gonna say. If only you could have protected your family. It's not gonna be, man, oh man, how come Jesus let your family down? How come God let your family down, man? Why? No, it's gonna be, man, how come you were not able to protect your family? How come you weren't there as a man? As a man of that household, how come you were not there? That's what you're gonna hear. You know what I mean? That's what you're gonna hear in this society. How come you couldn't save them? And at the end of the day, men understand that's how it's supposed to be anyway. That you as a man should be able to protect and provide for your family. That being unable to protect and provide for your family is basically, there's no point to having them. You're creating a dangerous situation, But that's the society we're in, man. You're in a S.A.G society, society above God. You know what I'm saying? They're telling you, oh man, you see with Dwayne Wade, that demon, man. That's a dude that, in all honesty, in my honest opinion, should be in jail for child endangerment. What he's done to his son there's no forgiving that. To openly as an adult say, well, there are things my 8-year-old and 10-year-old child could teach me. All this to justify him destroying his child for fame. This is the S.A.G society you're in, a society above God, And I'm not saying above God from a religious perspective. It just means you're in a society that believes it's above everything. You know what I'm saying? It's above everything, And to experience what it means to be in a society where it's man above God, you got to go overseas. That's why the birth rate is dropping. I've predicted this probably over 10 years ago. Over 10 years ago, I predicted this on the Reddit forums. Over 10 years ago, I predicted this on the Reddit forums, where I told some Redditors that, yeah, man, I basically told those Redditors that, yeah, what's gonna happen is very simple. Men are gonna run the ultimate playbook, and that's gonna be starve the society of their seed. As in, men will not have children, and they will basically let the population die. And as you can see, and as they said, Tommy Sotomayor coined this, the black community is the canary in the coin mine. The majority of black men do not donate sperm to a sperm donator, whatever it is, There's less than 5% of black male sperm available to women trying to have children. One thing is the black men don't want to contribute to children growing up without their father. Another thing is, a major aspect is, men are extremely fearful that, yes, they donated their sperm anonymously, but somehow, some way, they will be put on child support. They'll be put on child support and made responsible for the woman that has decided to utilize their sperm donation. So a lot of black men are opting out, not even donating or participating in sperm donation at all. You know what I'm saying? And that's 5% of black men. There's only 5% available at the sperm donor location. And what you think's gonna happen with the white man? The white man's gonna look at it and say, damn, man. You know what I'm saying? And the thing about a lot of black people say, well, the white people, man, the white man moves slower. Yeah, he's gonna move slower. He's coming from the perspective of the majority. You know what I'm saying? The majority, by the time this gets to him, it's far slower than to the black community. You know what I'm saying? That's the minorities, and then, the wealth discriminancy and, representation and so on and all that other crap, You know what I'm saying? So it'll get to the black man a lot sooner than the white man. Just as welfare got to the black community, was utilized as a weapon against the black man first, and the white man thinking, well, it'll never affect me. This government is just targeting these blacks. It's got nothing to do with us. Then you fast forward, now white men are staring at the barrel of a gun at welfare and child support. You know what I'm saying? It happens slower because the resources are higher. You know what I'm saying? The representation is more. You know what I'm saying? You bring a white dude to a judicial system, he's going to see a majority of people that look like him, which will create a sense of comfort and a false sense of trust. You know what I mean? And he'll just say, a lot of my own people in here, they wouldn't just purposely destroy us like that. And they have. Yeah. So what's happening, and there's men claiming, well, I'm in a M.A.G, I'm in a man above God situation, relationship, marriage, where I come first and so on. No, you don't. Y'all both married on the skies of Christianity, whatever your religion is, till death do you part. But in reality, you didn't marry her based on your faith as being the leader. Your faith leads and decides what's going on. Instead, you happen to be a Christian and she so happened to claim she's a Christian, and you went along with it. And one day has been proven with the fact that over 80% of the women file for divorce. When she's tired of playing Christian, it's over. You know what I'm saying? It's over, man. So, like I've been telling people, we are in the over age, But basically, that's what's going on, man. That's what's happening. We're in a S.A.G of a society. You know what I'm saying? The S.A.G of a society above God, that is driven by a God-verment, a God complex driven government. And some people, like I keep saying, man, buy the book, Man Vantage. Man Vantage is less than $10, or you can get it digitally for free on Amazon or whatever. And I go over everything. man. I go over everything and explain so much. It's a very simple book, straight to the point. And by the time you read it, it's not even that many pages. You read it, you would carry that with you for the rest of your life and take that with you everywhere. Get the man vantage. And the reason I bring up we're in a godverment, if you don't understand, is that our government, and I might be wrong because I keep forgetting, it might have been 1890. I think it was 1890 or 1870. The Church of Latter-day Saints deemed polygamy illegal under their practices. Then the American government deemed polygamy illegal, which makes no sense. You know what I'm saying? How does polygamy hurt the government when it provides more populations to tax? It creates more people to tax. Then it actually makes a man have children, which he has more children, which will follow the American tradition and the American paths. You know what I'm saying? So it makes no sense legally, and it can't be justified why a government would demonize and make it illegal, make polygamy illegal, unless due to the corruption of that government deeming itself a godlike entity, it deems polygamy illegal, because if one man has so many children, all of them will vote based on that one man. You know, that one man's ideal, that one man's goal and practices. So that's why the government made polygamy illegal. Now, I explain this and I go into more detail on the Man Vantage book. You know what I'm saying? And I've covered this all over the YouTube channel, you know. But the thing is, man, you have to understand that the government we live in has a God complex, you know. And this is why you're in a S.A.G society, you know, society above God. Any society you're in where the man is not the one above God, as in the man is not the one above God in the eyes of his family, then you are in a society above God. And what's happening in this society is that, you know, what's happening in this society, a S.A.G society, and these are the signs. You know, you see the family court, how it's designed to literally destroy and remove the father and sacrifice that father into a source of income and also imprisonment. You know, there are signs that you're in a S.A.G, a society above God. Any society that places the man below his position of being the deciding factor of what is deemed religious in God and his, you know, what is deemed leadership in his household, then you're in a S.A.G, society above God. And, you know, hopefully this video has helped. You know, I don't want it to go even longer, you know what I'm saying? But this is what you're in. It's a M.A.G, man above God, versus S.A.G, society above God. You know, and the S.A.G, society above God, is usually fueled by a government with a godlike complex. Because polygamy being illegal makes no sense. It makes no sense for the government. And then prostitution being illegal makes no sense for the government. A lot of these laws, as soon as the government starts going moral and trying to reference religion and such, it is no longer pursuing to be just a governing body. It is now pursuing to be something very similar to a religion, where it positions, instead of a God or a godlike being, a Jesus, a Muhammad, whatever, it positions its government, the sheer representation, the sheer influence of the government, as its godlike entity. And that's what we're in. You know, this has been hold the truth hostage, where if the truth was so important, we wouldn't negotiate with lies, would hold the truth hostage. Full-time ghosting isn't an option. It's the only choice, full-time ghost. Yeah, I was saying, you know, they had to remove the male vote, the male ability in the country to deal with the government directly. Think about it. Before the female vote, it was just a bunch of men voting, and there was this tension in the air. You know, men dealing with men. There's a natural tension in the air that, you know, if things do not end fairly, if we do not get our fair choice, there's a potential that there could be war. You know, there could be bloodshed. You know, that tension between men kept the government very honest, or an aspect of honesty. You know, because when the government's dealing with other men, the government knew that, yeah, you know, we're dealing with men here, our fellow man. You got to talk to them with respect. You got to be careful how you approach this, you know. But once they added women, they add in a section of the population that has no understanding of how men deal with each other. What's going on except what the government tells them what they're allowed to and can and can't do. Yeah, but you know, like I was saying, with the S.A.G, a society above God, the goal was to no longer allow the men to directly deal with the government. The men would have to, with the female vote, they would have to get not only through their fellow man, but now the opposite sex's vote. You know what I'm saying? The female vote. You know, so that's what happened with the society you're in. You know, they created another filter, or another what's the word I had in my head? They created another way to filter out the male vote. You know, you have to get through the women, and then get through the other men, and then it would ratchet up the greed, as now the men see that, yeah, I gotta get more women and utilize the women as weapons. The women don't know what's going on with the government, and even if they know, they only know how to deal with the government indirectly. They don't know how to deal with the government directly. And what this created is the situation we're in right now. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, so, you know, with that, they throw the female vote. And like I said, the women their voting is dependent on the men, dependent on the government, I mean. So they can truly never go against the government. Because to truly change things, they would have to alter their own rights and say, well, you know, we're women, we don't deal with the war, the consequence, the maintenance of the country. Our vote should only count as a quarter of what the male vote is. You know what I mean? That ain't gonna happen. They know that, you know, because another issue you got with women is that by virtue of aging, they lose access to certain resources that only a man could give them through fertility. While a man, on the other hand, he could be 70, 80, could still plot to have children and so on. But you know, that's the S.A.G aspect, man. You know, society above God. You know, and now you understand what's going on, man. It's M.A.G, man above God, versus society above God. But you know, this has been hold the truth hostage, where if the truth was so important, we wouldn't negotiate with lies, we would hold the truth hostage. Full-time ghosting isn't a opinion or an option. It's the only choice. Full-time ghost. Yeah, everybody, what's up, man? There's a part I forgot to speak about in the video, and want to correct it now. You know, that way the video's finalized. There's a part I forgot to mention about M.A.G, and you know M.A.G, man above God, and S.A.G, society above God. Now the part I forgot is about M.A.G, man above God. And what I forgot is that the reason the man is the head of the household, of course, is that he's a man. He is the strongest option when dealing with other men. And him dealing with the world from a man's perspective, him dealing with the world from a man's perspective, he can see and think what his he can see and think what is the proper way to face his fellow man. One thing a lot of people don't understand is that men deal with society directly. You know what I'm saying? Men deal with society directly, while women deal with society indirectly. And the reason for this, it's very normal. It's very normal, really. The men deal with society directly because they're men. The biggest threat to another man is another man. And another man leading a group of men. Another man leading a group of men. And women deal with society indirectly, as in be it through men, or be it through through an opening of a man left or something. Women cannot deal with society directly, as society is built and managed by the men. You know what I'm saying? The men create the society brick by brick, foundations, the laws and everything. The women can't directly deal with men. This is why you don't see a history where women have ruled and won countless wars and so on, because they're not an equal threat to men such as other men are. We're not equal. We're not equal in strength, mental at all, because the women deal with society from an indirect perspective. And this is why when you're in a society of M.A.G, when you live by M.A.G, man above God, when you're allowed to live that, and your wife and your children, or the mother of your children is allowed to experience that, she's allowed to experience the leadership of a man that deals with other men directly. I was talking to someone, and this person told me, well, man, you're hallucinating, or you don't know what you're talking about. But I told them this, man. Men, it's a battlefield. It's a battlefield being a man. It's a battlefield, man. You walk around, you know what I'm saying? You could look at another man the wrong way, and you might not make it home. Your tone of voice, you know what I'm saying? Another man might just think you're threatening him, and you might not make it home. It's a battlefield being a man, because we men are naturally the threat to one another. You know what I'm saying? When you walk outside, you look at another man the wrong way. Or if you've been in certain gang environments where colors are something, you come to that neighborhood with a certain color on, the other men see you as a threat, because who else will be bold enough to wear a certain color that's against their gang than another man? You know what I'm saying? Another man who's coming up on that turf to take it over, send a message. And a man above God's society, the men are the ones who, as I stated, lead the household, and they lead everything. Because there's a big misconception you got all over the internet where they say, oh man, the women dictated the household and what happened in the household and everything. No, man, the man would go to work and he'd give her a certain amount of money he's earned for the house. You know what I'm saying? If she wasn't working. You know what I'm saying? Because women been working. Maybe she was working in a farm or factory, whatever. But the man would come home, give her a certain amount of money. Yo, this for the groceries and all this and that. Men that are preaching this narrative that, oh, the women were always in charge of the money, these men are idiots. You know what I'm saying? So these men are basically hypocrites, are basically saying that the women basically made all the decisions to begin with. You know what I'm saying? When the man's going to work, as though he doesn't need money to get to work and back, to fix things in the house and so on. You know, it exposes how hypocritical, and as I've coined the term, how distant from intelligence these men are. Well, you know, back in the day, the men would work and give the women all the money to take care of everything. No, the man would work, have a certain amount of money that he's budgeted and give it to her. This is for food, this is for this and that, and what's left, do something for yourself. You know what I mean? That's how it was. And then in a M.A.G society, which the United States used to be a heavy M.A.G society, man above God, you know, the men would decide what the religion would be followed and all that. It's a male-led country, you know, until the late 1800s, when the government started saying, nah, the government should be the leader. We should instill a society that is a S.A.G, society above God. And to do this, they passed all these bills in the 1800s, late 1800s. I think 1870, they made polygamy illegal. In 1890, they made prostitution illegal. Then you fast forward to 1920, the female vote comes with the same voting powers as the men, without any need of the same responsibility, except one responsibility for the women, and that's to basically prioritize the government. You know what I'm saying? Prioritize the government and understand that your power all comes from the government. You know what I mean? That's what it is. That's what's going on. So the M.A.G, and I'm going to stay on M.A.G for a little more. The M.A.G is when the man leads the whole household, the man deals with the society he's in. He's planning. You know, what will my fellow man be doing? What is he planning? What is he thinking? You know what I'm saying? That's what a M.A.G is, a man above God. The man is always thinking about how will he deal with other men. You know what I'm saying? Because the main threat and the main challenge to a man's life will always be what other men decide. How other men want to change the society. How other men want to affect the society. You know what I'm saying? It's always how you deal with your fellow man. You know what I'm saying? That determines how successful you will be and how long you will be in that society. You know what I'm saying? So when they took that away, when they legally stripped men of M.A.G, man above God, which is, like I've been telling guys, man, and I wrote this in the Man Vantage. You can read the Man Vantage, where I talk about the fact that manhood did not end in the 1900s, did not end in the 1960s. Manhood in America ended in the 1800s, precisely in the 18 when the Civil War happened. I think, what was that, 1865 or 1860 something. My memory is blurry. But that's when manhood ended. Manhood ended once the government looked at men and said they are a problem, that we must enforce that we come first, that we are the priority, that the government is not built to serve man, but man is born to serve the government. That's why the Civil War happened. The Civil War was really the end of manhood, because it was when the government said, you know what? Like I was saying, I just said, man, the government is not made by man to serve man. No, the government is basically this: men are born to serve the government. You know what I'm saying? This is why you're in a godverment. You know what I'm saying? The Civil War, and I cover this on the Man Vantage book. Get your copy of the Man Vantage. I cover this when I state the Civil War was literally a declaration of war on men. You know what I'm saying? It's a declaration of war on men, because the government knew that Great Britain ended slavery decades before them. You know what I'm saying? Decades. And the government could have easily either taken notes from the Great Britain, United Kingdom, UK, whatever, could have taken notes from them, even brought them in to talk and figure out how they would end their whole racial divide and slavery. Instead, the government saw something huge. They saw something bigger, a brighter picture. You know, and that brighter picture is that, man, if they start a civil war, they could literally deprive the American public, the American citizens that helped settle the country, of their wealth. You know what I'm saying? Could literally have them go to war with each other and have them devastate their own wealth. Have Northerners fight Southerners. Have family members fight each other and destroy their own property. Destroy their own land, their housing. Have them destroy their own wealth so the government could come in and take over. You know what I'm saying? Have the government take over the whole thing. That's what the Civil War was about. A lot of people think, oh, the Civil War was about racism and this and that. No, the Civil War was about the government depriving its male citizens of wealth. Depriving its male citizens of wealth. Because when the war was over, who lost? The only people who lost were the American citizens. The Americans that had land and wealth in the South lost it. And the Southern families that had land and wealth from the north to the South, they lost it. They lost their wealth, man. And who took that land? Who took their whole property? You know, the Union took land and property from the Confederate, you know? It's the government, man. The government, it was a way, the Civil War was literally a way to deprive mass amount of Americans from wealth. You know what I'm saying? Mass amounts of American citizens from their wealth. Because like I said, the United States had the information of how the United Kingdom handled slavery. I think it was for the United Kingdom 1830s. 1830s. You know what I'm saying? They had decades of awareness of how to end slavery without going to war. But a government seeking to be a godlike entity must sacrifice many of its men. It must deprive them of their manhood, and it must, from the barrels of their blood, shed, that government will be born. And that's what you have in America. Right after the Civil War ends, 1870, I think it had to be 1870, they end prostitution. or I think polygamy. 1890, it's either prostitution or polygamy, but within the span of 20 years, they end prostitution and they end polygamy, depriving men of the options to enjoy their manhood and make choices of how they deal with the opposite sex from a standpoint of their income and currency and choices, rather than, well, you got to get married to get some of that. You know what I'm saying? You got to get married to experience sex. You know, deprive the men of that choice and other ways for women or whatever to earn income and so on. You know, that's what happened when the government was all about destroying the M.A.G, man above God. You know what I'm saying? M.A.Gs, man above God society. You know what I mean? If you want to go that route, M.A.Gs instead. You know, that's what it was about. Destroying. You know what I mean? That's what it was about, man. Destroying the family. You know, that's what it was about, man. Destroying the family by any means necessary. You know, that's what it was about. And you know, they completed their goal, man. Destroying M.A.G to build a society known as S.A.G. You know what I'm saying? S.A.G. You know what I'm saying? Society above God. And it was all about establishing laws that would basically make the men deal with the government indirectly. You know what I'm saying? Indirectly. That's what the whole female vote was about, was that the whole vote, when it came to the female vote, was about no longer allowing men to deal with the government directly. You would have to deal with them indirectly through the female vote. You know what I'm saying? Through the female vote, then the male vote. You know, they added another aspect to that, you know? They said the truth won't survive beside the lies that maintain the decaying faces of this place.